Earlier this month, I had the pleasure of attending the very first convention devoted entirely to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, and it was even better than I had hoped for. LegendsCon took place on September 9th and September 10th, but even before it started on the night before, I got to surprise my friends, Brian and Dylan. I kinda didn't tell them I was coming. I also got to meet some fellow EU YouTubers that you may know, Magneto Alex, Quinlan Voss, Only Good Games, and Revengist. Just getting together with fellow EU fans, and hanging out and talking, was worth making the trip for. When the convention began, it was similar to a lot of other conventions that I've been to in the past, but better because it was about Star Wars Legends. There were plenty of awesome cosplayers, there were vendors in the exhibit hall, there were panels, many of which were attended by prolific authors who have worked on the expanded universe. It was a little surreal. You spend several hours reading these people's work, and at LegendsCon, for the most part, you can really just go up and strike a conversation with them. The authors who specifically attended this convention were all really nice. At certain hours, specific authors were available to sign whatever books you brought with you, or happened to pick up at the convention. But you didn't feel rushed going through the line. You can take the time to meet and talk with all of them. Some of the panels were the authors being interviewed by someone, and they dropped a lot of wisdom that EU fans might not even know. For example, Matthew Stover based his interpretation of Count Dooku when writing the Revenge of the Sith novelization on Sean Stewart's interpretation of him in the novel Yoda Dark Rendezvous. Also, Sean Stewart seemed to be very surprised that his book was so popular. Lucasfilm didn't give him a lot of personal interaction when he wrote the book, so he had no idea. Barbara Hambly was initially upset about Luke Skywalker not ending up with Callista Ming, because she was given the task by Lucasfilm to write who Luke Skywalker ends up with. Karina Becco, when writing Legacy Volume 2, had planned on Anya Solo realizing she wasn't actually a descendant, and had to come to terms with moving away from her past legacy in order to make a new one. Michael Stackpole doesn't like Dark Empire. I could go on, but many of these panels have been recorded by Quinlan Voss, Alex, and Only Good Games. Actually, I think every panel was recorded by LegendsCon, though I don't know when or where they will all be uploaded. The whole con itself, I believe, was attended by 300 or 400 people, which is very impressive considering we are talking about a very specific niche of the Star Wars fandom. Though it was still small enough to feel personal and feel like you were able to see everything. The vendors were pretty good. I'm glad they came, but I feel like the ones who catered to Legends more probably got better traffic. If you happen to be a vendor wanting to attend the next LegendsCon, we'll get into that a bit later, my humble advice, if you want to really make some money, would be to sell more merchandise or create fanworks that are about the Star Wars Expanded Universe specifically. The 501st was there, and much of the event proceeds were donated to the Peter Mayhew Foundation. The Twin Suns Foundation was there too. Their goal was to collect about 10 to 30 Star Wars books to donate to the Boys and Girls Club in Burbank. And of course, they collected about 63. Also, they wanted to spread the word, as I will right now, of their current fundraiser, collecting donations to give Star Wars books to 2 children's hospitals in Toronto. If you would like to donate, there will be a link in the description. Twin Suns also got to show off the pictures of the previously funded billboards to a very delighted Abel G. Pena. Punch-It-Chewy Press had some very awesome pens inspired by the EU. They even had convention-exclusive Force Unleashed pens. Speaking of convention exclusives, Joe Bongiorno was selling copies of his massive book, Supernatural Encounters. And Abel J. Pena was selling a book of him being interviewed over the years with the very appropriate title, Legends Never Die. There is honestly so much more to mention about LegendsCon, and if you have any other thoughts or questions for me, please leave them in the comment section. And at the end of the con, there were closing ceremonies where we thanked the staff who put everything together, as well as all the guests that made the trip out there. It was a very positive experience overall. Zero drama or negativity from what I could tell. People can call the fandom toxic online all they want. I was in a building all weekend with hundreds of them, and there was nothing but love. A Tahiri cosplayer even gave a very heartfelt speech about this convention being put together because she felt pretty hopeless after April 2014. As we all have, I'm sure, at one point. Come on, Disney. Your stocks are going down, while at the same time there is a whole convention of people that want you to make more Star Wars Legends. It's not rocket science. But anyway, I would say this con was a big success. Catherine, one of the lead people behind everything, mentioned that they'd like to do another one in the future, maybe early to mid 2025. If so, then hell yes, I'm going to go to that one too. And if that sounds interesting, then I recommend that you all come too. Especially if you feel like you missed out if you didn't come to the first one. Finally, on Quinlan Voss's channel, he did a few live streams of people talking about Day 1 and Day 2 of LegendsCon that go way more in depth. I'll leave links in the description for you to check them out. Leading up to LegendsCon, I was skeptical at first, but the more and more that I heard about it, the more excited that I got, and rightfully so. LegendsCon was a huge success, and it was really, really fun.